Power begins the moment you decide what you will no longer allow. That single decision, spoken with calm certainty, is stronger than anger, stronger than revenge, stronger than any outburst you could ever give, because boundaries are not walls of weakness, they are shields of self-respect. When you stand behind them, you no longer live at the mercy of anyone's manipulation. You are no longer pulled like a puppet by someone else's strings. You become untouchable. The truth is this: a narcissist does not fear your shouting. They do not fear your arguments. In fact, they crave them. They want to see you lose control, because every time you do, they win. They study your reactions like a predator studies prey. They learn where to push, where to provoke, where to pierce your peace. But what they cannot handle, what terrifies them more than anything, is your calm refusal. The moment you say, "I will not allow this," without raising your voice, without flinching, you send a shockwave through their illusion of power. You shatter the script they have rehearsed 1,000 times in their mind. Boundaries are not about pushing people away. Boundaries are about teaching people how you deserve to be treated. And make no mistake, people respect what you demand they respect. When you give unlimited access, when you say yes to everything, when you allow someone to walk into your space without permission, they stop seeing you as rare. They stop valuing your presence. You become common. And nothing is more dangerous than being common in the eyes of someone who feeds on your energy. Psychology teaches us that human beings crave what is scarce. Diamonds are valuable because they are rare. Your time, your energy, your attention are diamonds. When you hand them out freely, they lose their shine. But when you protect them with boundaries, you remind the world that your presence is not cheap. You remind the narcissist that you are not here to be consumed, drained, or controlled. You are here on your own terms. The silent power of boundaries is this: you do not need to explain them. You do not need to justify them. You do not need to convince anyone why your no means no. Boundaries are not up for debate. They are not a negotiation. They are a statement of who you are and what you refuse to tolerate. When you say, "I will not accept disrespect," and you walk away from anyone who crosses that line, you teach the world the most important lesson. You are not desperate. You are not needy. You are not afraid of being alone. And that terrifies a narcissist, because their entire power rests on your fear of losing them. Every time you enforce a boundary, you send a message: my peace is more important than your approval. My self-respect is more valuable than your attention. My dignity is not for sale. And when you live this truth, people who cannot honor it will fall away. Yes, some will call you cold. Some will call you distant. Some will say you have changed. But what they really mean is that they can no longer exploit you. They can no longer feed on your silence, your compliance, your endless giving. A narcissist cannot survive without fuel. That fuel is your reaction, your energy, your willingness to bend. The moment you take it away, the moment you set the line and enforce it, you starve the game. And what is left when the game dies? Your freedom, your clarity, your strength. Boundaries are not selfish. Boundaries are sacred. They protect the highest part of you, the part that knows you are worthy, the part that knows you deserve peace, the part that knows your life is not a stage for someone else's drama. Without boundaries, you lose yourself in the chaos of others. With boundaries, you find yourself again. Remember this: people may not like your boundaries, but they will respect them. And if they do not respect them, they will reveal their true character, and that knowledge will save you from years of hidden pain. A narcissist exposed is powerless, but a narcissist unchecked becomes a silent thief of your soul. Do not give them that chance. Say it once, say it calmly, say it with conviction: I will not allow this. Then stand firm. Do not argue, do not beg, do not explain. Because your worth is not proven in explanations. It is proven in your silence and your strength. The greatest victory is not shouting them down, but rising above without lowering yourself into their storm. Boundaries are your quiet revolution. They are the invisible armor that no manipulator can penetrate. They are the difference between being controlled and being free. They are the line in the sand that says, "This is who I am. This is what I deserve. And nothing you do will make me forget it." When you master this, when you make boundaries your way of life, you will notice something extraordinary. The world will begin to treat you differently. People will speak to you with more respect. They will approach you with more care. And those who cannot respect you will quietly disappear, leaving space for relationships built on truth, honor, and mutual respect. The silent power of boundaries is the silent power of self-love, and once you claim it, you will never give it back. The most powerful weapon against a narcissist is not anger, not revenge, not endless arguments. It is indifference. Nothing unsettles a manipulator more than realizing they no longer control your emotions. They want your fire. They want your tears. They want your desperate need to be understood. But when you stand in calm detachment and simply say, "That's your opinion," their game collapses. Because indifference starves them of the fuel they crave most, your reaction. A narcissist survives by pulling you into emotional chaos. They study your weaknesses, searching for the triggers that will make you explode, defend, or explain. Every time you take the bait, they grow stronger. But indifference is the refusal to play. It is the unshakable calm that says, "You no longer have access to my emotions." It is the realization that not every insult deserves a defense, not every lie deserves correction, and not every opinion deserves your energy. Psychology tells us that attention is a form of currency. Where your attention goes, energy flows. And narcissists are beggars for attention. They thrive on being the center of your focus, whether through admiration or conflict. Indifference bankrupts them. When you no longer argue, when you no longer justify, when you no longer feed their hunger, they are forced to face the one reality they cannot stand: irrelevance. This is not easy. Indifference is not weakness. It is one of the highest forms of emotional discipline. It requires strength to remain calm when someone is pushing every button, strength to walk away when every nerve inside you wants to respond, strength to stand in silence while they throw words meant to cut you open. But the moment you master this, you shift the power. Because a person who cannot be provoked is a person who cannot be controlled. Imagine the confusion in their mind when their favorite insults no longer sting, when their manipulation no longer hooks you, when their dramatic outbursts are met with nothing more than steady calm. They will accuse you of being cold. They will call you detached. They will try harder to get a rise out of you. But that is proof of their weakness, not yours. The louder they try, the clearer it becomes that you are no longer under their spell. Indifference is not about shutting down your emotions. It is about mastering them. It is about choosing where to spend your energy wisely. Ask yourself, why should you pour your life force into defending yourself against lies? Why should you waste your breath explaining yourself to someone who has already decided not to listen? Why should you bleed for the approval of someone who will never value you? Indifference answers all these questions with silence. It tells you that not every battle is worth fighting, and not every person deserves a seat at the table of your peace. When you choose indifference, you choose freedom. Freedom from overthinking every word. Freedom from the endless cycle of defense and attack. Freedom from the chains of needing their validation. You begin to live not for their opinion, but for your own clarity. You begin to realize that your time and energy are sacred, and wasting them on someone who will never see your worth is the ultimate betrayal of yourself. The world often misunderstands indifference. They think it means apathy or numbness. But true indifference is not about lacking care. It is about caring for yourself so deeply that you no longer hand your peace to someone who seeks to destroy it. It is the art of saying, "Your chaos is not my chaos. Your storm is not my storm. I refuse to drown in waters that were never mine to swim in." The narcissist will hate this. They will call you selfish. They will say you are arrogant. They will even try to provoke guilt in you. But remember this truth: people who truly love and respect you do not demand your destruction as proof of your loyalty. Only manipulators demand your suffering as evidence of your devotion. Indifference draws the line they cannot cross. Every time you respond with calm detachment, you weaken their grip. Every time you say, "That's your opinion," and walk away, you reclaim your energy. Every time you refuse to argue, you remind yourself that silence can be louder than any words. Eventually, they will learn that you cannot be fed upon. You cannot be drained. You cannot be used as their emotional punching bag. And once they realize this, they will either disappear or adjust. They will either fade from your life, seeking another source of fuel, or they will be forced to face the truth of their own emptiness. Either way, you win. Because indifference protects your soul. It keeps you aligned with peace, with clarity, with strength. So when the provocation comes, when the insults are thrown, when the traps are set, remember this: you do not owe them your energy. You do not owe them your anger. You do not owe them your explanation. The only thing you owe yourself is peace. And peace is built on the foundation of indifference. Let them talk. Let them project. Let them twist their stories. It does not matter. Your silence is your victory. Your calm is your armor, and your indifference is the force that makes you untouchable. Power begins with clarity. The moment you name what is happening, you strip manipulation of its disguise. Narcissists and toxic people thrive in shadows, twisting words, shifting blame, and making you question your own reality. They gaslight, they confuse, they hide their intentions behind charm or anger. But the second you calmly say, "That is manipulation, that is disrespect, that is not acceptable," you shine a light on their game. And light is their greatest enemy. A narcissist wants you tangled in doubt. They want you second-guessing yourself, replaying conversations, wondering if you were too sensitive or imagining things. They use this fog to control you. But when you name the behavior, you clear the fog. You pierce through the illusions they spin. You turn their invisible weapons into visible truths. And once you see clearly, you cannot be deceived again. This is not about confrontation for the sake of conflict. It is about claiming your reality. Because psychological warfare only works if you allow your mind to be twisted. When you calmly label the behavior, when you refuse to dance around it, you send a message: "I see you. I am not blind. I will not play in the shadows." Those words take back your power. It requires courage. Speaking the truth always does, because the moment you name their tactics, they will react. They will deny. They will mock. They will accuse you of being dramatic, oversensitive, or crazy. But do not shrink. Their denial is proof you have struck the right chord. Their outrage is evidence that you have hit the wound they try so hard to hide. Every manipulator fears exposure, and every time you call out the behavior, you peel back their mask. Psychologists call this tactic reality anchoring. By labeling what is happening in the moment, you anchor yourself to truth instead of illusion. For example, when they twist your words, you calmly say, "You are putting words in my mouth." When they mock your feelings, you state, "That is disrespectful." When they shift blame, you declare, "That is avoidance of responsibility." These short, direct statements cut deeper than arguments because they leave no room for escape. You are not debating. You are not explaining. You are simply naming reality as it is. And here is the beauty of it. Once something is named, it loses its hidden power. Lies only work in the dark. Manipulation only works in confusion. Disrespect only thrives when you excuse it or laugh it off. But when you name it, you make it undeniable. You force it into the open where it cannot survive. It is like pulling a weed from the soil. Once uprooted, it cannot grow in secret anymore. The narcissist will try to flip the script. They will accuse you of attacking them. They will say you are the one being unfair. They will try to turn the mirror back on you. But remember this, deflection is not proof of your guilt. It is proof of theirs. If they truly had nothing to hide, your naming of the behavior would not bother them. But if they fight back with rage, it means you have exposed a truth they cannot handle. Naming the behavior also transforms you, because each time you say it out loud, you remind yourself that you are not crazy, you are not imagining things, and you are not overreacting. You are protecting your mind from the poison of manipulation. You are anchoring your soul to truth, no matter how much someone else tries to bend it. That self-validation is powerful. It breaks the cycle of dependence on their approval. You no longer need them to admit what they did, because you have already declared it. This practice takes strength, but it also builds strength. The more you do it, the more confident you become. The more confident you become, the less grip they have over you. Eventually, their tactics fail not because they changed, but because you refuse to be deceived. Naming the behavior trains your mind to see clearly and speak firmly. It builds a fortress of awareness around your spirit. Do not fear being called difficult. Do not fear being told you are too direct. People who respect you will honor your truth. Only those who wanted to manipulate you will feel threatened by it. And if they leave, let them. Losing a manipulator is not a loss. It is a victory, because every manipulator removed from your life creates space for people who deal in honesty, respect, and love. Naming the behavior is not about controlling others. It is about controlling yourself. It is about refusing to live in confusion. It is about choosing clarity over chaos, truth over illusion, peace over endless battles. And in the end, clarity is freedom, because when you can name what you see, you can walk away from what you do not deserve. So the next time someone twists your words, disrespects your boundaries, or plays games with your emotions, do not shout. Do not beg for understanding. Simply name it, calmly, firmly, with unshakable certainty, because once you put words to the truth, their lies can no longer control you. And that moment, When you speak clarity into the fog is the moment you break free. The moment you realize your worth is the moment no one can break you. Nothing disarms a narcissist faster than the calm truth spoken with conviction. I know my value, and it does not depend on your approval. These words are a fortress. They are a shield that no insult can pierce, no manipulation can twist, no rejection can weaken. Because self-worth is the one thing a toxic person cannot take from you unless you hand it over. A narcissist's survival depends on convincing you that you are not enough. They chip away at your confidence with subtle jabs, disguised jokes, and calculated comparisons. They plant seeds of doubt, making you question your abilities, your beauty, your intelligence, your very place in the world. Over time, if you let them, they will have you measuring your value against their ever-shifting standards. But the truth is simple. Your worth was never theirs to define. It was never up for debate. It was never negotiable. Self-worth is not built on their opinion. It is built on your truth. It is built on knowing that you are inherently valuable, regardless of who approves or rejects you. The moment you claim this, the spell is broken, because their insults lose power when you no longer need their validation. Their gaslighting collapses when you no longer question your reality. Their superiority crumbles when you stand tall in your own dignity. Psychology reveals a simple fact. People treat you according to the standards you set for yourself. If you see yourself as unworthy, others will follow that script. If you stand in your value, others have no choice but to respect it or remove themselves from your life. Self-worth is not arrogance. It is alignment with truth. It is the quiet certainty that says, I am enough as I am. I do not need your permission to exist. I do not need your approval to shine. A narcissist will call this selfishness. They will accuse you of being full of yourself, of thinking too highly of your own importance. But this is projection. Because what they truly fear is losing the control that comes when you doubt yourself. They cannot manipulate someone who already knows their worth. They cannot chain someone who does not need their validation. They cannot crush someone whose foundation is unshakable. Think about it. How many times have you bent over backward trying to prove yourself? How many times have you swallowed disrespect because you thought maybe you deserved it? How many times have you begged for love that was never freely given? That cycle ends the moment you say, I know my worth. These words are a line in the sand. They separate the past version of you, the one who tolerated disrespect, who questioned their own value, who lived hungry for scraps of approval, from the new version of you, the one who walks with dignity, confidence, and self-respect. The beauty of self-worth is that it cannot be faked. It is not about loud declarations or external achievements. It is about the quiet conviction in your heart that you are valuable regardless of circumstance. Even if you lose everything, even if they walk away, even if no one claps for you, your worth remains intact. And when you live from this truth, you become untouchable. Every insult becomes noise. Every rejection becomes redirection. Every attempt at control falls flat, because you no longer seek what they cannot give. You no longer chase approval from those too empty to offer it. You no longer trade your peace for the illusion of validation. That is the power of self-worth. It frees you from the chains of others' opinions. This is not about shutting people out. It is about filtering who earns access to you. Because once you know your value, you do not waste it on people who cannot recognize it. You do not beg for a seat at tables where you are not respected. You do not hand your diamonds to those who see only stones. Self-worth teaches you that it is better to walk alone in peace than to stay surrounded by people who diminish you. And here's the truth most never learn. People respect what you respect. When you carry yourself with dignity, when you speak with clarity, when you refuse to settle for less than you deserve, the world responds. Some will rise to meet you, others will fall away. But either way, your path becomes lighter, your relationships become healthier, and your life becomes freer. So speak the words, not just once, but every day. I know my worth. Let them echo in your mind when someone disrespects you. Let them anchor your heart when someone tries to manipulate you. Let them guide your decisions when you feel tempted to settle for less. These words are not just a statement. They are a foundation. They are the compass that will always point you back to yourself, no matter how much the world tries to pull you off course. The narcissist cannot handle this truth, because once you know your worth, their power is gone. They cannot devalue you because you refuse to lower your price. They cannot shame you because you know you are not defined by their opinion. They cannot control you because you no longer seek what they hold hostage. You are free. And freedom built on self-worth is a freedom no one can take. Remember this, You were born worthy, worthy of respect, worthy of love, worthy of peace. Anyone who tries to convince you otherwise is not exposing your lack of value, they are exposing their lack of vision. Hold firm, stand tall, speak the truth, I know my worth, and then live like it every single day. The greatest victory in any battle is not to fight at all. Nothing confuses and weakens a narcissist more than your refusal to engage. They expect resistance. They expect shouting, defending, explaining. They want the show, the drama, the endless cycle of attack and defense. But when you stand calm and simply declare, I will not argue with you, you end the play before it begins. You close the stage they built for themselves, and you walk away with your peace intact. A narcissist thrives on conflict. They survive by pulling you into their storm, by twisting your words until you don't even recognize yourself, by exhausting you until you break down and surrender. But every storm requires two forces, the one who stirs chaos and the one who steps into it. If you never step in, the storm dies on its own. Your silence is not weakness, it is strategy. Your calm is not surrender, it is strength. Because refusing to engage does not mean they won. It means their game cannot continue. Psychology proves that conflict with manipulators is never about resolution. It is about energy transfer. They fight not to solve, but to feed. Every argument is a meal. Every defensive explanation is fuel. Every emotional reaction is dessert. When you refuse to engage, you starve them. You show them that your energy, your time, your sanity are too valuable to waste on endless circles. You protect the most sacred part of you, your peace of mind. This is not easy. The temptation to defend yourself, to prove them wrong, to shout back is strong. Because you want to be understood. You want the truth to be seen. But here is the hard truth. You will never win an argument with someone committed to misunderstanding you. Their goal is not clarity, it is control. They twist words, they shift blame, they rewrite history. You could present mountains of evidence and they would still deny it. You could beg them to see your heart and they would still mock it. Engaging is a trap designed for you to lose. Refusal is the only escape. Think about it. How many hours, how many nights, how many tears have you wasted trying to prove yourself to someone who had no intention of listening? How many times have you left an argument more broken than when it began, wondering why the truth was never enough? That cycle ends the moment you decide to stop playing, to simply say, I will not argue, and walk away. That decision is not just a refusal, it is a declaration of power. It says, my peace matters more than this battle. Some will say this is avoidance, but it is not. Avoidance is running from fear. Refusal to engage is walking in strength. It is choosing battles worthy of your energy and discarding those that lead only to emptiness. It is the difference between pouring water into a barren desert and watering a fertile field. One drains you, the other sustains you. A narcissist is the desert. No matter how much you pour in, nothing grows. The refusal to engage is not silence of weakness, it is silence of mastery. It is the discipline of knowing that not every insult deserves an answer, not every attack deserves your time, not every opinion deserves your presence. It is the wisdom of realizing that your energy is your currency, and you will not spend it on debts that will never be repaid. When you practice this, something powerful happens. The narcissist begins to lose interest. They try harder at first, raising their voice, mocking your calm, pushing your buttons in desperation. But when you do not bite, when you remain steady, when you repeat, I will not argue, their power begins to wither. They are performers without an audience, and without an audience, even the loudest actor falls silent. More importantly, you begin to change. You feel lighter, you feel stronger. You discover that you do not need to fight every battle to prove your worth. You do not need to defend yourself to people who are determined to twist your truth. You learn that your dignity is best protected not in shouting matches, but in the silence of self-control. That realization is freedom. Understand this. The refusal to engage is not about winning the argument, it is about winning yourself back. It is about preserving your mental clarity, protecting your emotional energy, and choosing peace over chaos. It is the quiet declaration that says, I refuse to be your fuel. I refuse to be your puppet. I refuse to dance in your storm. And once you live by this, you become untouchable. So the next time they bait you, the next time they push your buttons, the next time they try to drag you into the endless cycle, remember this truth. Your silence is louder than their noise. Your calm is stronger than their chaos. Your refusal is the end of their control. Say it once, calmly, firmly, unshakably, I will not argue with you, then walk away, because in that moment you have already won. Freedom begins the moment you stop letting someone else's opinion control your life. The chains of a narcissist are not made of metal. They are made of invisible strings tied to your need for approval, your fear of rejection, your hunger to be seen. They pull those strings with criticism, silence, praise, or withdrawal, and as long as you respond, they hold you captive. But the moment you stand tall and declare, your opinion does not control my life, the strings snap. In that instant, you reclaim your freedom. A narcissist's greatest weapon is control. They do not seek love. They seek dominance. They do not crave connection. They crave ownership. They want to see you bend, to see you shrink, to see you adjust your every move to fit the shape of their approval. This is not affection. This is bondage. And the truth is, most people live in it without even realizing. Every choice, every step, every word filtered through the fear of how someone else will judge. But real freedom is born when you stop asking for permission to exist. Psychology teaches that control thrives on compliance. The more you yield, the more power they gain. But the moment you stop yielding, the game collapses. When you declare that your life belongs to you, not to their expectations, you rob them of their greatest illusion, that you cannot survive without their validation. You remind yourself that you are more than someone's approval, more than someone's judgment, more than someone's possession. You are your own authority. Think about how much energy is wasted chasing acceptance. How many dreams are abandoned because someone said you can't. How many voices are silenced because someone mocked. How many lives are lived as half versions, molded by the opinions of people who never had your best interest at heart. That is the hidden prison. You lock yourself inside, and the key is in your own hand. The declaration of freedom is simply this: I no longer live for your opinion. I live for my truth. A narcissist will fight this moment. They will test it. They will call you selfish, rebellious, arrogant. They will try to guilt you into submission, to make you believe that independence is betrayal. But this is not betrayal. It is survival. It is the refusal to suffocate under the weight of their control. It is the courage to breathe in your own air, to walk your own path, to speak with your own voice. And yes, it will shake them, because their entire empire crumbles when you are no longer afraid of their judgment. This freedom is not loud. It does not need to shout. It is quiet, steady, unmovable. It is the peace of making choices without fear. It is the strength of walking away from manipulation without guilt. It is the dignity of saying, I decide who I am. I decide how I live. I decide my worth. No one else holds that power anymore. That is freedom. But freedom requires sacrifice. You must be willing to lose the approval you once chased. You must be willing to accept that not everyone will applaud your strength. Some people will leave when you stop bowing. Some relationships will die when you stop bending. But what dies is not real love. It is control disguised as care. And what remains will be real, unbreakable, built on respect instead of dominance. The declaration of freedom also transforms your inner world. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop apologizing for existing. You stop shrinking to fit spaces too small for your soul. Instead, you expand. You breathe fully. You live boldly. You take risks, speak truths, and embrace your own power. The cage is gone, and with it goes the fear that once held you small. A narcissist cannot survive in this environment. Their tactics fail against a free mind. Their insults fall flat. Their praise loses its grip. Their silence no longer hurts because you no longer depend on it. Their approval becomes irrelevant, and in that irrelevance, you are untouchable. They cannot bind what refuses to bow. Remember this truth: freedom is not given, it is claimed. No one will hand it to you, especially not those who benefit from your chains. You must declare it, you must speak it, you must live it, and once declared, it must be protected. Because toxic people will always try to creep back in, always try to tighten the strings again. But if you hold firm to your declaration, they will never succeed. Say it now, say it always: your opinion does not control my life. Let those words be your shield when they criticize. Let those words be your anchor when they withdraw approval. Let those words be your compass when you feel tempted to shrink for their comfort. These words are not defiance, they are liberation. They are the anthem of a soul that refuses to be chained again. And once you live in this truth, you will notice something extraordinary. Life becomes lighter, choices become clearer, relationships become healthier, because freedom attracts freedom. When you no longer live under the shadow of someone's control, you rise into your own light. You stop existing as a reflection of others and start existing as the truest version of yourself. That is the declaration of freedom. Not just words spoken once, but a vow lived daily. A promise to yourself that no opinion, no manipulation, no toxic hand will ever hold the pen to your life again. And when you keep that promise, you step into the rarest, strongest, most powerful form of existence, a life lived on your terms, free and unshakable. Accountability is the mirror that strips every narcissist of their disguise. It is the one thing they cannot stand because it forces them to see what they spend their whole lives running from, the truth about themselves. When you hold up the mirror of accountability, you are not attacking, you are not shouting, you are reflecting. And nothing unsettles toxic people more than being forced to face the reflection they work so hard to deny. A narcissist survives by escaping responsibility. They twist the story, shift the blame, rewrite history, and make others carry the weight of their actions. To them, accountability is poison because it breaks the illusion they feed on. They thrive as long as others excuse, tolerate, or justify their behavior. But the moment you calmly hold up the mirror, you remove their mask. You say without fear, this is what you did. This is what it caused. This belongs to you, not me. And in that moment, their power cracks. Psychology shows us that accountability is a disruptor. It interrupts manipulation, cuts through gaslighting, and restores balance. It does not need anger to be strong. It does not need shouting to be heard. True accountability is delivered with calm precision. When you stop carrying blame that is not yours, when you stop apologizing for pain you did not cause, when you stop letting them escape the consequences of their actions, you create a boundary they cannot control. You take back your strength by refusing to be their scapegoat. But this mirror is not only for them, it is for you, because too often people allow manipulation to continue because they are afraid to see reality. It feels easier to pretend. It feels safer to minimize. But freedom requires honesty. The mirror of accountability forces you to confront the truth. They did what they did and it was wrong. It is not your fault. It is not your burden. And the longer you carry it, the longer you live in chains. When you place the weight back where it belongs, you release yourself. A narcissist will resist this. They will mock you, accuse you, twist your words. They will try to shame you for daring to stand firm. They will call you unforgiving, dramatic, ungrateful. But these are not truths. They are weapons. Tools designed to push the mirror away. You must stand firm. You must keep holding it steady. You must remind yourself, accountability is not cruelty, it is clarity. It is not punishment, it is truth. And the truth is the only thing that sets you free. Imagine a lifetime of letting someone escape responsibility, every broken promise excused, every wound minimized, every betrayal overlooked. Over time, this creates a silent erosion of your self-worth. You start to believe maybe it was your fault. Maybe you overreacted. Maybe you should have done more, said less, been different. This is the silent damage of a life without accountability. You become a prisoner of someone else's lies. But the day you hold up the mirror, the erosion stops. You stop being their shield, and you start being your own defender. The power of accountability is not only in words, but in action. You no longer give them endless chances. You no longer ignore red flags. You no longer let apologies without change soften your boundaries. Accountability means requiring consistency. It means saying, I see your actions, not just your words. It means refusing to let promises distract you from patterns. It is steady, watchful, discerning. And in that steadiness, you become unshakable. The mirror of accountability also transforms your self-respect. Each time you place responsibility where it belongs, you affirm your worth. You affirm that your pain matters. You affirm that your boundaries matter. You affirm that your truth matters. And in doing so, you build a strength that no manipulation can break. You stop being afraid of confrontation because you realize confrontation is not chaos. It is clarity. It is choosing truth over illusion. Toxic people cannot thrive where accountability lives. They may try to escape it, but over time they will reveal themselves. Some will run, some will fight, some will wither under the weight of truth. But in every case, the mirror strips away their disguise. And while this may cost you relationships built on lies, it will give you something far greater, a life built on truth. The mirror of accountability is not easy to hold. It requires courage, discipline, and patience. It requires enduring the backlash of those who would rather live in lies. But the reward is priceless. freedom from blame, freedom from guilt, freedom from chains that were never yours to carry. You become someone who no longer bends under the pressure of manipulation. You become someone who sees clearly, stands firmly, and lives truthfully. Hold up the mirror. Do not lower it when they rage. Do not drop it when they beg. Do not look away when they distort. Keep it steady, keep it clear, keep it honest, because the reflection it reveals is not just theirs, it is yours. It shows you who you are when you choose strength over fear, clarity over illusion, truth over manipulation. It shows you that you are no longer a victim, you are free. And in the end, that is the ultimate power. Not to destroy them, but to liberate yourself, to walk away with your head high, your spirit whole, and your truth unshaken. The mirror of accountability is your weapon, your shield, and your freedom. Hold it, use it, live it. Strength is not proven at the start. It is proven at the end. The way you walk away, the way you close the chapter, the way you refuse to be broken, that is the mark of an unshakable soul. Narcissists do not fear your anger, they do not fear your tears. They fear your silence, your composure, your calm refusal to be destroyed. The ending you choose becomes your legacy, and when it is unshakable, it is unforgettable. Toxic people thrive on chaos. They want the last word, the final blow, the dramatic scene that keeps you tied to their energy. They feed on reaction, on weakness, on the desperate need to be understood. But when you walk away without breaking, when you stand still in your own dignity, they lose their grip forever, because the one thing they cannot control is a person who chooses peace over drama, silence over argument, freedom over chains. Psychology reveals that narcissists operate on cycles. They provoke, they dominate, they withdraw, and they return, again and again. They expect the cycle to continue because it has always continued. They count on your emotions to keep it alive. But an unshakable ending breaks the cycle. It is the final line in the story, the chapter they cannot rewrite. When you end it without rage, without begging, without collapse, you teach them a truth they cannot unlearn. You are untouchable. This kind of ending does not mean you are cold. It means you are wise. It means you see the game for what it is and refuse to play. It means you understand that closure does not come from them, it comes from you. A narcissist will never give you the apology you deserve, the accountability you seek, the peace you long for. That is not who they are. Waiting for that moment is waiting for a door that will never open. True closure is created, not given. And when you choose to create it, you take back your power. The unshakable ending is not about words, but about energy. You do not need to announce your freedom. You embody it. You do not need to explain your silence, you live it. You do not need to declare victory, you carry it. The absence of reaction becomes the loudest statement. The refusal to argue becomes the clearest boundary. The calm walk away becomes the final chapter. And in that calm, you rise above the chaos they tried to drag you into. But to end unshakably, you must master yourself. You must silence the part of you that craves revenge. You must quiet the urge to prove them wrong. You must tame the hunger for recognition. Because those are the traps they set, the hooks they throw to keep you tethered. The real victory is not in showing them their defeat. It is in showing yourself your freedom. It is in choosing peace, no matter how loudly they demand war. Think of all the energy wasted in battles that solve nothing. Every argument repeated, every explanation ignored, every outburst used against you. That is the battlefield they want you trapped in. But when you stop fighting, not because you lost, but because you choose a higher ground, you step into true power. You realize that peace is not weakness, it is mastery. To be unshaken is to be ungovernable. To be ungovernable is to be free. The ending you choose echoes long after you walk away. If you end in chaos, they remember your collapse. If you end in silence, they remember your strength. If you end in bitterness, they believe they won. But if you end in unshakable peace, they are left with nothing to hold on to. No weapon to twist, no weakness to exploit, no story to distort. They are left facing the emptiness of their own actions while you move forward unscarred. And the unshakable ending is not just for them. It is for you. It is the moment you prove to yourself that you are no longer a prisoner of reaction. It is the moment you realize that your calm is stronger than their chaos. It is the moment you walk into a new chapter without carrying their poison. You do not just survive, you rise. You do not just escape, you transform. You leave with your dignity intact, your soul steady, your truth unbroken. This ending becomes the foundation of your new life. Because when you know you can face the storm and not be moved, no storm can ever control you again. You learn that peace is not found in the absence of pain, but in the presence of power. And once you have tasted that power, you will never give it away again. You will never bend to manipulation, never shrink under pressure, never lose yourself in someone else's game. You will remain unshakable. So remember this, the ending is not a collapse, it is a coronation. It is the moment you crown yourself